Did you know that 94% of employers conduct background checks as part of the hiring process? Hi, I'm Rachel at Checkr. Background checks for employment can confirm a candidate's eligibility for a role, improve workplace safety, and help you stay compliant with local, state, and federal regulations. During a background check, you might order screenings such as criminal history records, motor vehicle reports, education and employment verification, drug testing, and more. Let's go over how to do a background check that helps you make fair and informed hiring decisions and keep your organization compliant. Step 1. Make sure you have a background check policy in place. Having a set of guidelines to determine which screenings to run for different roles across your organization will help you make consistent and fair hiring decisions. Step 2. You'll want to understand your compliance responsibilities. Local, state, and federal regulations may impact when and how you run a background check on someone. These could include the Fair Credit Reporting Act, or FCRA, and this is a big one, so we'll talk about it again later, as well as anti-discrimination guidelines from the EEOC and fair hiring laws, sometimes known as ban-the-box laws. Step 3 is selecting a background check company. While some employers choose to run background checks for employees on their own, many will use a background check provider to speed up the screening process and reduce their team's workload. When choosing a background check provider, ask questions like, how do they ensure a positive candidate experience? Do they automate workflows with digital tools, or do they rely on manual processes? Can they integrate with your ATS or HRIS platform? And do they have built-in features to help keep you compliant? Step 4, you'll need to choose which screenings to run. Once you've selected a provider, decide which background checks you'll order for the positions you're hiring for. This information should be outlined in your background check policy. Some screenings may be required by law for your region or industry, such as criminal record searches for positions that work with kids or driving record checks for delivery drivers. You may also want to run additional checks, like employment verifications, that help you make informed hiring decisions. You should always consult your legal counsel to ensure that screenings fit your business needs. All right, step 5, communicate with your candidates. How and when you communicate with job candidates about background checks will depend on your screening process and corresponding legal requirements. If you order background checks as part of the hiring process, you will need to comply with the FCRA, a federal law that governs how employers order and consider information returned in a background check. Under this law, employers must notify candidates of their intent to perform a background check and receive their consent in writing. If you decide not to move forward with a candidate due to information found in a report, the FCRA's adverse action process should be followed. After getting a candidate's consent, you'll want to have a plan for how they'll receive updates about their background check throughout the process to keep them engaged with your organization and avoid candidate drop-off. If you work with a provider who uses a robust digital platform, you may be able to automate these updates and make information easily accessible online. And finally, step 6. It's time to review the reports and assess your candidates. In your organization's background check policy, you should establish how the information in a background check will impact your hiring choices to promote consistency, reduce bias, and ensure compliance with hiring regulations. Guidelines from the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, or EEOC, should be on every hiring manager's radar. The EEOC helps enforce U.S. federal laws regarding workplace discrimination, including guidelines for how employers should consider criminal record information when making hiring decisions. The EEOC recommends conducting individualized assessments when reviewing criminal records to get a holistic view of a candidate's background. State and local laws may also impact how you assess and act on criminal record information during hiring. For all types of background checks, you should communicate with your team about what factors may qualify or disqualify a candidate from a role. Of course, make sure to consult your legal counsel about which guidelines you should follow during adjudication and how to complete the adverse action process if you choose not to hire someone based off the results of a background check. And there you go. Now you know how to run a background check during the hiring process. Employers and organizations of all sizes trust Checkr to provide fast, accurate background checks fueled by modern technology. Learn more about background checks for employment, compliance, and more at checkr.com.